tuned in to the premier program for all of your business resources, Small Business NOLA, with your host, Reuben DeTiege.
Hi, and welcome to Small Business NOLA, where we talk about your business and mine. If you would like to be a guest on the show, email us at smallbusinessnola@yahoo.com. I am Constance Spears, your co-host, with Reuben DeTiege. He is not here today, but we do have a guest that is very interesting, and we would like to let you meet her right now. She is an attorney. And tell us a little bit about yourself, starting with your name.
Sure. My name is Jauna Crear. I am a local attorney. I've just opened my own law firm. It's called the Crear Law Firm. I'm sorry. It's called the Crear Law Firm, and it's located at 4747 Earhart Boulevard in New Orleans. I'm upstairs in Suite I. My phone number is 504-365-1545. I handle a number of different matters, and so
tell us why you decided to become a lawyer.
I actually was a business person before I became a lawyer. I had been, for lack of a better word, flipping businesses. I had been taking businesses that weren't doing so well and helping them to do better, and turning them back over to their owners on a consultation basis. And the more businesses that I interacted with, the more I realized that a large part of being a good business person is really understanding the law and understanding the regulations that affect that business. Right. And so I decided to enroll in law school. So I attended Tulane Law School here in town. I didn't go far. And I did a dual degree in law and business. So I have both the law degree as well as an MBA.
Wow, I like that. So, you know, there's a lot of people out here that are starting new careers.
Yes.
Even after being on one business in, you know, several years, then they decide, you know what, I want to do something else. So you wasn't afraid to start a whole new career?
Of course I was afraid. I think that the old saying goes, necessity is the mother of ingenuity.
Right.
And I'm a mother. and that being a mother necessitated that I be ingenious.
Right.
And so really I just had a moment. I think my daughter was 1 when I started law school. I really sat there and I watched her toddle around, and I thought, I have to provide a future for her that's more secure. And being a consultant was something that I loved and I really enjoyed doing, but the reality was I either had a client or I didn't. And if I didn't, I wasn't working.
Exactly.
And that wasn't a good space to try to raise a child, in my opinion. And so the chief thing that I think drew me to go to law school was being a mom.
Okay. So, okay, now you're a lawyer.
Yes.
Tell us what area of law you're in right now.
I'm a bit all over the place. Many solos will tell you I take everything that walks through my doors.
Okay, that's good.
And I take everything that walks through my doors. And if I can't help a person, I think that attorneys are problem solvers.
Right.
So each client comes in with a problem.
That's
and
exactly
if I can't fix your problem, I will find someone who can. And so for me, it's easier to just tell you to, come one, come all. But I will tell you that so far, and I've only been officially open since August 15th.
Okay.
And so far, the cases that I've taken have fallen into 4 main categories: successions and wills, and just getting people's estates handled after someone has passed away is a large part of my practice. I also represent people who have small business issues. Obviously, I do a lot of contract work and agreements within the business and setting up businesses and those sorts of things, and helping people to understand the regulations around their area of business. The third area would be family. When I was at Tulane, I had the privilege of doing a program called the Domestic Violence Clinic. And so I had a background in helping people with family matters. And
so was it just women or men as well?
It's a little known fact that men are victims of domestic violence more than you would know.
Wow.
And so Yes, it is far more common that a woman will come forward.
Battered men.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And they come in with kids as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Without, I mean, unfortunately, domestic violence really knows no boundaries. It doesn't know income boundaries, it doesn't know race boundaries, and it doesn't know sex boundaries.
No,
and so it doesn't limit itself to female victims.
Right.
But absolutely trying to find relief, trying to find a safe place for that person who's the victim as well as for their family. Often a batterer will not only batter the adult, but also the children in the home. As well. And so making sure that everyone is safe, and one of the things you commonly see in domestic violence relationships is that the abuser is the breadwinner in the household, and so the woman, which typically your victim is the woman, has no resources to escape. Okay,
and that's something that you guys can give her.
Well, what we do is really try to work. There's a lot of things in the law that are built around protecting the woman, around helping her to you can get immediate spousal support and child support and things that will really help. The purpose of which is to help to stabilize the household in a new safe place that's away from the abuser. But that was my training in law school. To be really honest, I haven't done a lot of domestic violence in recent years, but my heart is definitely still with that population. I don't think it'll ever leave that population. But I found a lot of it's almost like switching sides of the track, but I found a lot of dads are actually struggling right now to see their children, not in the domestic violence arena, just in a regular relationship. We're having visitation issues with dads, we're having support issues with dads, and so I found that I'm getting a lot of dads who are coming in.
So you're helping the fathers as well as the mothers.
Yes.
That's good.
And so whatever the family issue is.
Right, you know, and just being on a parent side, I think that a lot of the gentlemen don't have that support system. You know, everybody thinks that all males, or what they say, the deadbeat dad, and that's not always the case. So it is good that the gentlemen that are in the families have some type of recourses that they can take when they're being, you know, unfairly categorized.
Absolutely. And I think that the law is really written in a way that tries to treat both parents fairly. But I think that sometimes it's interpreted in favor of the mother in a way that's not correct. And deadbeat moms are a lot more common than you would think. And so I just had a gentleman who had a 2-year-old child that he's had since the child was 4 months old, when mom dropped him off one day for a few minutes and never came back. And now mom recently is showing back up and is telling everyone she's going to take the baby from him. And he's had the child for over a year at this point. So
he would need some assistance with that.
So that's the kind of case that I say, well, come in and talk to me, and let's see if we can get it, you know, get the judge to rule on where the baby should be, as opposed to you guys sort of jockeying back and forth. It creates the opportunity for confusion, for violence, for a lot of things, and it harms the child. I mean, no 2-year-old should watch mom and dad fight. Exactly. So I think that sometimes getting the courts involved is the most peaceful resolution.
Exactly.
And then there's no question. It's either your weekend or it isn't.
Sometimes the parents can't come to a mutual agreement.
Absolutely.
So they need someone, a third party, that can come in and look on the outside and be able to tell what's going on in the inside and give you that point of view that will be a good structure for both sides.
Absolutely.
Now, you also say that you do a little bit of bankruptcy.
Yes, that was the fourth item.
I think that a lot of people get confused when it's Chapter 11 or Chapter 13, and, you know, why should I file and should I not file, and, you know, things of that nature. Give us a little bit information about that.
Okay, so the short version is that the bankruptcy code, which is the law that controls how bankruptcies are filed, is divided into chapters. And when you get ready to file your bankruptcy, let's say, for example, that you came into my office and you wanted to file a bankruptcy. The first thing I need to determine is which chapter your bankruptcy will be controlled by in the bankruptcy code. And so you hear people talk about a Chapter 7 or a Chapter 13. The three main chapters that normal people would have heard of are 7, 11, and 13.
Exactly.
7 is what the old people call a straight bankruptcy. That's old school. That means you give up everything you got for the most part, and they pay as much as they can to who they can, and you walk away from your debts. Chapter 7, thanks to the 2005 rewrite of the bankruptcy code, is very difficult for you to qualify to be able to file under Chapter 7. Or very might be a stretch. It's more difficult than it once was.
Okay. Okay.
So, because in Chapter 7, you don't have to make payments of any sort. You simply turn over your assets, and then they come and...
All right, and they determine who gets paid according to who has the first lien and things of that nature.
There's priority.
Right.
So liens are a higher priority.
Right.
And then there's also, if you have $300 worth of debt, it's just pick a number out of the sky, and you only have $100 worth of stuff, then everybody's only going to get some portion of what they were owed. They're not going to get their whole...
all of it.
Right.
And they have to excuse the rest,
correct,
right?
Correct. And so it's really just a matter of the straight bankruptcy now is really reserved for people who don't have regular income, who are really at the... If you have regular income, for the most part, you will probably have to file a 13. There's exceptions. I hate making absolute statements. I'm an attorney. That's not in my nature. So it really is the kind of thing you would need an attorney to dig through even to figure it out. But just as a general rule, with lots of exceptions, Chapter 7, you give up what little you have, and you walk away without owing anybody anything, but you also don't have your stuff.
Okay,
if
so you
have
lose
things,
everything.
If you have, so there's exceptions to everything.
Okay.
There's things you don't lose.
Now I've heard somebody say, I did a chapter, and I'm not sure which one it was, but they did a bankruptcy, and they were able to like keep their house.
So typically, if you're a homeowner, we tell you go 13.
Okay, so that's a Chapter 13.
So 13 is different from 7 in that in a 13 you have to make payments over time.
Okay.
So you, and that time period is either 3 years or 5 years, depending on how much, whether you're above means or below means. There's all these, it's a lot of calculations involved.
So does that mean they take all of your bills and kind of like consolidate it?
Basically.
And then give you a payment plan?
Basically.
Okay, and that's the way that you can
And some of, even under 13, some of the creditors are not going to be paid at 100%.
Right.
And so they're...
And do the attorneys talk with the creditors and say, hey, this is what's going on? Are you willing to take?
It's like a three-way relationship. There's the judge in the case, and then there's the Chapter 13 trustee.
Okay.
And then there's the attorney for the debtor.
Okay.
So, I will be the attorney for the debtor.
Right.
And then the trustee is really representing the interest of the creditors.
Okay.
And so the trustee sort of parses through everything and helps to figure out who gets paid what and how much.
Okay.
And just like a Chapter 7, whatever there's no money on the table to pay for has to be forgiven.
Oh, see, that's the important part.
But in a 13, you get to keep your house, you get to keep an exempt car, and so there's a lot. Well, you don't always get to keep your house, but you can. It is the chapter that we would choose if we were trying to save a house.
Okay.
And so there's a. I am giving you the 50,000-foot view. There's a lot of detail and nuance.
And that's why we call an attorney, because we don't want to do all that reading.
And it's difficult for me because I'm very aware that I'm on TV. And so I'm trying to be very clear and not give it any misinformation. So there are exceptions to a lot of the things that I'm saying.
What we're saying here is call me when you need to go through this process. If you're upside down,
if you are behind on your bills and the creditors are calling and you really just have no idea where to go, come in and get a consultation, and let's sit down and talk about where you are, how much money you're making, how much your bills are, and just really figure out if bankruptcy is appropriate for you. I mentioned bankruptcy to you before the program, and I was a little hesitant to mention it because I haven't had to file one yet. Because when clients come into my office, to be really honest, I typically talk them out of a bankruptcy. I try to do pre-bankruptcy fixes to their solutions, and I give the analogy that bankruptcy is like amputating your leg. It is a really drastic solution. So if you come in and all you needed was a pedicure, I'm not going to recommend cutting your leg off. And so people get really upset sometimes. The creditors are calling them about one bill, and that bill's total value is $2,000. And that seems like a lot, and it's very stressful. And I get that, but it's not.
some people
for
don't
some
have
people
to go through that.
That wouldn't be enough
But
for me to say a
that's why you
bankruptcy
talk
is
with
okay.
an attorney.
Right.
If you're going through some type of financial difficulties, there are a lot of different ways for you to get out of it. So come, sit down,
Right.
talk with an attorney and say, hey, this is what I have going on, and what is your best evaluation
Right.
of it? What do you think that I should do? And
Right.
you said that you get free consultations,
Absolutely.
right?
I don't charge
Okay.
you to come in and sit down and talk with
So that's good.
And so the clients who I have not filed a bankruptcy for, I actually didn't earn a fee for those clients, but I think that was the best solution for that client.
Right.
I'm not. My background prior to opening my firm, I've been practicing law for 5 years at this point.
Okay.
Actually, it's been longer than that. I've been licensed in Louisiana, yes, for 5.5 years.
Okay, so you've been an attorney for 5, but you
Right.
just opened up your own law firm.
Correct.
Recently, right?
Correct. And
Okay.
prior to that, I was working in nonprofit law firms. I worked at Legal Aid for a time. I started my own nonprofit that helped people get access to health care.
Okay.
And so between those two things, I've never charged my clients fees. And I've always been in a mode where my goal was to solve my client's problem, and I never really
to
worried
help.
about money.
Right.
And so now I'm in my own firm, and although I do charge fees, I don't
That's not the
forget
main
my
goal.
pedigree. and
Right.
in my
The main
core, I'm
goal
really
is
there to help
the client.
Exactly.
Right. So tell us a little bit of how, about the small businesses that you do.
My small business clients typically are people who own their own thing, and what I like to bring, often an entrepreneur is really good at making money,
Okay, that's right.
but they're not always so good at paperwork and
Right.
following the money
Right.
around. And so we see little things that make you lose money.
Exactly.
And so, and I'm trying to think of an example that would not immediately identify my client.
No,
I'm
that's
not.
okay. You don't have to do that.
But you know, they come in with all sorts of issues, and the issues very often are things that that I can help them out with. And so they run the gamut. I can help you create a business. I can help you take a business and make separate entities out of something that you had all stuck together as
Right.
one entity.
Okay.
Partnership agreements, operating agreements, the agreement within the company, as far as if you have 2 people contributing to the company and you want to spell out in a document where the profits go.
Okay.
If the business goes upside down, who's responsible for the losses?
Right. So you write up contracts as well.
Yes.
On
I
how
review
to make
contracts.
the business work much smoother.
Right.
And I think that a lot of people out there, they have a dream.
Yes.
You know, they want to start their own business, but they don't know where to go,
Yes.
who to talk to, how to start, how to make sure that once they are in it, how to, you know, complete it, how to get, how to finish it. And sometimes you need somebody that's going to come in and hold your hand.
Right.
You know, I have some colleagues of mine, we got together and we started the I Give Back Business Group. And we help you, we sit down and say, hey, what is it that you need? You know, from, registering with the state and, you need paperwork, you need to make sure that taxes are being paid.
Sometimes people have a really cute name and they don't want anybody else using their cute name, so they want to protect their cute name.
Exactly, and they don't know where to go and how to do it. So you need somebody that you can say, hey, can you come and help me? And those are some of the things that you do,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
A lot of people don't know that you are separate from your employees. Your employees have different things that they ought to be doing. They don't know that they should have, backup funds. I think one of the main things is they're undercapitalized their business.
Yes.
They don't know how to start a business plan. They don't know how to write it. So, you can call you.
Yes.
And say, hey, can you help me in, step by step? Or you can call the I Give Back Business Group and say, hey, I need help on this particular business, and things of that nature. So, we want to see growth in our community. We want to know that there are things going on that are making us grow each and every day. We need to create businesses.
Yes. It is essential for our economy that that people have the ability to generate their own wealth.
Exactly.
And I think that we sort of got into a rut and we haven't been generating that wealth. And I think that it's interesting that you bring up I Give Back and sort of this approach to helping businesses, because I find that my approach is really holistic.
Okay.
And so every line of business that I do at my firm is an immediate fallout of something I had to do for a client who was a business client. And so I'll give you a great example. I have a client who is a professional. He has a professional practice that he does his practice, but he also has a lot of investment type businesses, and so 3 or 4 businesses. And he has one child who's an adult child, but a young adult child. Let's say she's in her 20s, low 20s. And he said to me one day, I said, "You have a will?" And he said, "I don't need one."
No.
Because I only have one child, and it's obvious that all my stuff goes to her, right?
And that's not always the case.
Even if that's the case, let's go with it. That's the theory.
Okay.
Do you really think that your 20-year-old can handle your empire? Should we put some training wheels on your empire to make it a little easier for her? So we set up some...
Exactly. So, especially if you haven't been rearing her to take over. She can take over something that is just too big for her.
I really think that what he has right now is too big for her.
Right.
And so I said, why don't we write you a will and structure some trusts and those sorts of... I mean, there's a lot of solutions there that give her what she's entitled to. Her dad worked for the purpose of leaving something for his child, right?
Exactly.
But it's not necessarily the thing that you want to drop on them at this age. You want to think through that a little more. So sometimes people don't think through that.
You can have executives to come in and run it until she is in the position where she can run it herself. Right. Right. You can put funds into different trusts.
Exactly.
I don't think that any trust should have the bulk of what you have going on separated.
Well, and it really is a case-by-case thing, because I can think of scenarios where the trust having the bulk is the best solution. And so, especially if you have a special needs child, for example.
All right, yes.
And you want them to get the benefits of that trust, but you want to just sort of put it all together. So just everything's case-by-case. I really just strongly encourage people to come in and talk to me.
And talk to an attorney.
And I was just in a seminar a couple days ago, and one of the things they were talking about was the future of the practice of law. And that... The internet.
What is that about?
The internet is killing our jobs. All the attorneys are going to be out of work because everybody thinks they can be their own lawyer.
Right. Just pull up the internet.
Yeah, there's a form out there. Fill it out.
Exactly.
You're good. You don't need me.
But even if you're reading that form, do you know what you're reading?
Exactly. And quite frankly, the Louisiana forms that are accepted in Louisiana are often different from what will be accepted in other states. So if you just Google it, you might get a form that's no use.
That's in Washington.
Wills are a great example of that. The Louisiana will looks different.
It does. But our state is different all the way around. On every law, in every institution, everything that's going on in our state is so different from everywhere else. Exactly. But it's funny you mentioned the internet, because it's not always the best place to go. I mean, when you really want something that's really detailed, and not just that, if I'm reading it, I have to be able to understand it. Because if I don't understand it, then I still don't have a clue to what it is that I'm doing. Right. So, you know, even if I pull it up, I still should bring it to my attorney. Right. And say, hey, what do you think about this? What's going on with this? Does this fit what I'm trying to do?
The hardest thing for me with my business clients is getting them to spot an issue.
They know everything.
Well, they do know a lot. And with all due respect, they're making money. So something they're doing is right. But every once in a while, one of my business customers, clients will mention off the cuff that they have this issue, you know. You know, they're still calling about that, right? And I go, why didn't you call me about that?
Exactly.
Oh, you can help with that?
Exactly.
Yes.
That's why I am here to help you.
So I find with my business clients that it's easier for me to just bring them in and have long conversations. And I assure you that...
Because they'll talk about the things that are going on
eventually.
With their lives. Yes.
And so it's a balancing act. I know people are busy, and I know, and so there are moments when I just want to hit hard and get the exact facts about this specific issue that you were calling about today. But then there are moments where I just need to sit down and chat with my client. See how things are going. if it's a restaurant client and they had a special, they decided to make Thursday nights be steak night, and that's their new special. How did steak night go? Did you have any surprises? Anything new? You know, and sort of talking.
And surprises are always coming up, all the time.
You know, oh, we didn't know that cooking over an open flame would be different from cooking on a grill. And so we have to talk about those things.
You know, even in that same scenario with a restaurant owner, you know, you have people that may come in and say, I chewed on the bone. And now they want to sue. You need an attorney. Somebody that's going to work up that paperwork.
Prior to you coming in and saying I had a customer chew on a bone and wants to sue, we would have had a conversation about your insurance levels. About what you have insurance for. And so I try to, again, I really try to have a holistic approach. I brought in an accountant on certain clients. When I listen to you and I think your problem is you don't know how to file your taxes, so I'm going to bring an accountant in. And your problem is, you know,
a lot of business don't know all the things that they need, and an accountant or a CPA is very instrumental.
I think that for any small business, the four relationships you must have, and eventually you will use all four of them. You need an attorney.
Yes.
You need an insurance guy.
Yes.
You need an accountant.
Of course.
And you need a banker.
Yes.
If you have a relationship with one of those, with all of those four people, you can solve 90% of your problems.
Just talk to either one of them.
Yes. Just pick up the phone and call the right one.
Exactly.
Or the wrong one, and they'll tell you to call the accountant.
Call the other one. Exactly.
But you know, a lot of the issues that I see are issues that really could be prohibited, or that could be prevented, or that could be fixed if you just talk to your accountant or talk to your insurance guy. Or, you know, if you are the sole generator of income at your company, and you know your kid is not capable of running your company, what happens if you pass away, right?
Before you get all of your paperwork together, before you get your will together, before you get your trust together, that's going to be a problem.
Or even after. If it's all together and your child just can't kick his drug habit, now what? He just smoked and snorted your whole empire,
you have to talk to an attorney.
You really, really have to come in.
And make sure that you back in. You know, and when you start a business and you want to make some type of profit, it shouldn't only be for your kids, but it should also be for your grandkids.
And for your community. And I really feel very strongly that we all have an obligation.
Right.
And so I am not, you know, our president made a statement about you didn't build that, and it's gotten a lot of flack. But I firmly believe that I am not sitting here because I am so brilliant and wonderful. There were a lot of people along my path who helped me to push me forward. And so I spent a lot of time interning students. I spent a lot of time just sitting down and talking to students. Anybody who's interned under me will tell you, oh, it's not all about work. I want to know how you're doing in school. I want to know what type of job you're thinking about getting.
Okay, well, thank you for being on the show today. And if you need an attorney, call Miss Crear. And thank you, and have a good evening.
Thank you. Merci.
New Orleans would like to say
thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thanks, America.
We love you.
We don't just say thanks. We play it.